Trump peeps. We need some Trump peeps, please, right? So that means we have a really unique class today. It's something that I've probably never done. Well, actually, I don't know why it's unique, but for some reason it is unique. It somehow seems like something I've never really done. Well, it is something I've never done. So, but we really need some Trump peeps. And so the second, and you're not going to get challenged, right? Like it's not about that. So let me just say a couple of things. So let me just say something about conservatism and liberalism at Penn State. And, first off, most students at Penn State are liberal. They sort of, so first off, most students don't have any idea whether they're liberal or conservative. And if they say that they're one thing, they're just saying it, that they don't know what it means. So if you go up on the street and you ask people, hey, define liberalism or define conservatism, most people don't have any idea what it means. And most students would somehow link conservatism with racism and bigotry and so on and so forth, right? Which is absurd. But they do. And most students identify with more of a liberal agenda. And what they think is more of a liberal agenda, or what it is anyway, is the ways in which people identify as this kind of sense that, that there are a lot of problems in the world and we should fix those problems, and we need to build these big organizations like governments and big institutions to fix those problems. And it's okay, spend as much money as you need to fix them and help people out, and step in, make sure that we promote equality at all costs. So therefore, stop sexism, stop racism, stop ethnocentrism, help people in need wherever they might be, and again, whatever it might cost. And this is more of sort of a social liberal perspective, or in social terms, but also in economic terms, right? Just spend the money to fix the problems, right? And rebalance money, from wealthy people to poor people and this sort of thing. And, most young people tend to be more liberal in those terms, because most young people, when you're in your teen years or something, it's when you start discovering about the world, that the world can be a really unequal place. I mean, a lot of stuff happens in the world. And then once you start really discovering that, the thing, as human beings, we want to fix it, right? So we do things like we go out and we want to, join groups to help kids like who have cancer, or kids who are hungry, or join the military to protect people in other parts of the world. We want to do something, right? And so young people tend to want to do that. They tend to not be really jaded. At the age of 18, you tend not to look at the world and say like, oh yeah, the world's always going to be like this. It's always screwed up. It's like, nah, don't get involved in anything. This is really stupid. When you get to my age, you can sort of adopt more. People will tend to adopt more of that perspective, but there's youthful idealism, right? Like that's a good thing. It's really good. So it's most Penn State students, most young people tend to embrace more of a liberal philosophy, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like in that sense, but the liberalism it goes beyond that particular definition. I'm just picking out a couple pieces. So there's also a self-righteousness among liberal students, for sure, that I don't see among conservative students. And it's almost like an ignorant self-righteousness. And it's just seeing conservative students as like just dumb and mean and racist and that sort of thing, just adopting that and just drinking that Kool-Aid and never even knowing what people really think or what they believe, and I see that. And so it's no wonder that people who are more conservative, embrace more of a conservative perspective, don't speak up and don't want to be recognized. So if I do something like today and I say like, hey, I really like to get 5 or 6, people who support Trump or who identify as more conservative, but in this case, people who support Trump, it's not, doesn't escape my imagination as to why people wouldn't want to say like, hey, because you're just condemned by this self-righteous liberal lynch mob to like be just a really bad person. And the people who have no idea what's going on themselves. Conservative students just tend to see liberals as naive and just not very, not very realistic. But in a university, being dumb is different than being naive, and being racist and sexist and homophobic, which is how liberals identify or see conservatives, is different than just being naive. And so it can be a little bit dangerous or problematic to be seen as being a conservative, right? Having said that, I think Penn State is dripping with liberal idea. Liberalism is everywhere at a place like Penn State. And, you know, we breathe liberalism, right? This class comes out of this kind of liberal tradition. We need to, you know, deal with these issues, and we need to address poverty, and we need to address racism and sexism and all these issues in the world, and we need to fix it and talk about these things and the problems of power and the problems of these people and that people and, you know, white supremacy and all these terms, all this stuff just is part of this tradition that, you know, we don't have classes here that you would promote or even talk about an authentic conservative idea, a conservative perspective, you know, like that's really thoughtful and interesting. And you don't have that, like imagine that. So, but we don't. And everywhere you turn, it's just one thing after another. It's the university is just putting out this liberal ideology that of all these liberal concerns. And so it's no wonder that more conservative students, and certainly conservative students who may have voted for Trump, wouldn't speak out in their classes because you're seen as being a racist idiot. You know what I mean? Not by most professors. Most professors really, people, not just like me, most people don't care. We really would relish these kinds of interactions, but we don't get them. And a lot of times, you know, we don't get them. And again, because you can stand up and say really dumb things, but as long as they're liberal things, as long as they follow that liberal party line, it's okay. I hear the dumbest things come out of the mouth of liberal students that and then everyone just sits around and nods their head like, oh yeah, that's right. But I don't hear that. You know, conservative students, I generally often are a little bit more thoughtful because you gotta be, because you're sort of watching here anyway. That's the self-righteousness piece. So having said all that, we really would like to have some folks who voted for Trump, because you're going to have a really unique opportunity today. And the opportunity comes with, because otherwise I'm going to have to take that stance. And like, I don't want to take that stance. I don't need it, you know? Okay, it's not a stance actually. All I'm going to ask you to do is ask questions. So if you come on the screen, all you need to do is ask questions, okay? And you can even come on the screen and not turn your camera on if you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be identified as a Trump person. Then leave your camera off and put another name up there. We don't really care. Okay, so we have a guest today coming to us from Germany. So you met this guy before. Jeff, if you can just put we're going to do the first 3 slides. This is, hang on, let me wait till the slides go up. And Lieutenant Colonel Bill Edmonds, U.S. Army Special Forces Ranger Regiment. That's him right there, that dude. And who is, you know, soon to be heading out. And you read a piece that he wrote for the second exam. And it is a chapter from a book called War and Moral Injury. Here is the cover of that book. Really fascinating piece about his own experience of moral injury and his assessment of it and what he experienced in Iraq. So if you remember that. And he also wrote another book that is a really fascinating read. It's called God Is Not Here. And I recommend this book very much. A Soldier's Struggle with Torture, Trauma, and the Moral Injuries of War. And Bill had sent me this book. First off, let me say that so Bill watched my TED talk, and the one that you all watched on Iraq, and then he reached out to me saying like, "Hey, I watched your talk. It's really interesting. Maybe let's talk." And so we did, and he sent me some stuff that he wrote. He sent me his book, or I bought his book, and I thought I was going to read it in just a week or two, and it took me like 4 months, 3 or 4 months to read, because it was just so intense, and that it takes a lot for me to get into something that's so intense. I gotta like go slowly with it.
Jose just sent an email.
All right. So anyway, Bill, you can hop on the screen here. Welcome back. You were here a few weeks back with Bassem and Rafi and Mr. Rashidi.
Hey, thanks, Sam, for inviting me. Hey, hello, everyone from across the world.
So here's let me tell you what. Let me show some slides, and then we're going to show these, and then you can just tell us what's going on. Okay, first off, so you're here. I want to just bring people into your world a little bit, but first off, I want to, maybe I should say the following, what we're going to do today, so people know. So you did not vote for Trump. At all. Yeah, so we're with you, right? Yeah. I'm not going to show these photos yet. Let's just you and I talk.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I didn't vote party lines. Yeah. So I didn't vote for Trump.
And you were really clear about not voting for Trump and not wanting to vote for Trump. I remember at the end of class when you were here a few weeks back, you said, "Hey, you really made a pitch for people to not vote for this guy." If you remember.
Yeah, I sure did. I've been in I've spent my entire adult life in the military. I've lived and worked throughout the world: Asia, Europe, Middle East, Arabian Peninsula, all across Northern Africa, West Africa, the Sahel. I've been to war 14 times and nearly died more times than I've been to war. And I've worked all across the U.S. government, not only in DoD, Department of Defense, but Department of Justice, NCT, National Counterterrorism Center, the CIA. Sam, if there's one lesson from that journey, it's that I'm blessed to have been born in America, and I've come to realize that it's a land of, yes, limited opportunities and advantages of that birthright. But we're not spotless and above reproach, but we still have precepts upon which we were founded. Human rights and inclusivity, freedom, justice, equality, opportunity, selflessness, and most importantly, moral character. And I think
okay, so hang on. I'm going to stop you. Right. I'm going to stop you because some of that you were going to say later. Now, so you were hardcore about can't vote for this guy, and I thought, you know what? And here's the thing that I thought for my class and for my students. How often? So the things you just listed off, right? You've been deployed 14 times, nearly died more times than you've been deployed. You've lived all over the world. You've worked at every level, right? Down to the CIA, down to everything, right? The Pentagon. And I thought, my students, many of whom have never left, most of whom have never left the United States, those who are Americans, so we have international students from around the world, but we have many students who have never left the state of Pennsylvania. And I thought they never would get a chance to hear from somebody like you. So what happens is we go to the voting machine or we get our pencil and we pencil in, Trump or Biden or somebody else without having any idea, any thoughts about it. And you have such strong thoughts. And I said, why don't we give students an opportunity to ask you questions? People who voted for this guy, just like query you, like, what do you see? What'd you see? What do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And it just seems like such a unique opportunity. And my goal isn't to change anybody's mind. I don't care. I don't care if they people can leave the screen or leave the stream and still have the same feeling. Like, yeah, they hope the election is overturned and this guy wins. That doesn't matter to me. I'm too old to worry about changing the world at that level. I'm just fascinated by the fact that you have these really strong views, and you have an opportunity, people have an opportunity to ask you what you see, because you see things that nobody else sees. Very few people have seen. So let me just go for the class. I just want to show a couple of photos. So Bill, you're not going to see these photos. You know all the photos because you've seen them, and I'll hold them up to the one camera so that you can see. The first one, Jeff, if you could put this on. This is just, oh, wait, hang on. This is just a photo of your wife and your daughters, right? And your daughter your youngest daughter making the funny faces. So go to the next one. Dude, she has these great faces. I love that. All right. And the next one is the photo of you in, I think you're deployed in Desert Storm. So this is probably in the early 90s. It shows you out in the middle of the desert.
1991.
1991. And that's you in the front, I imagine. And it's you probably weighing less than you weigh now. You have more hair than you have now.
Surprisingly, not much more,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, the hair or the weight?
Oh, no, a lot less hair, not much more weight.
All right. And then there's this next one of you, and that one also, I think, in Desert Storm, you with the guys. So here, hang on. That one right there.
Oh no, that's not Desert Storm, Sam. That's Iraq.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, got it. Yep. All right. And the next one is so that's Bill on the front. Here are you with that young boy who's got the really
Those are all on the Iraqi base in downtown Mosul.
And you just saw him and wanted to just take his photo, or?
No. We had about 4 interpreters that lived with us, Iraqi interpreters, and it was usually too dangerous for the interpreter's son to go to school, and so he had most often his son come and live and work on the base and do odd jobs on the base during the time.
All right. Hey, really fast. We by the way, so the class, so you know, we have 2 people who have jumped on. We really like to have a couple more people, man. Okay. So it would be really sweet if we just get a couple more people. It'd be really nice. You know where we're going here. We need to ask some really challenging questions of this guy, Bill. He never gets challenged. You know what I mean? So we want to hear what he has to say. All right. The next one is you in the mess hall. This is while you were in Iraq. So you're eating with the Iraqi officers, right? So it's not, those of you watching, you can pick out Bill. It's pretty easy.
Yes, I'm the one without a big mustache.
The guy without hair, you're right, without a mustache for sure. Yeah. And the next one is, you jogging. That's also in the base in Iraq, right?
Yes. Yeah, around that.
And that, what year was that? That's 2004?
That's 2005 to 2006. So about a year and a half after the initial invasion, but about the time when Mosul went to chaos. The start of the insurgency.
And were people, like, when you would jog like that, were people shooting at you ever?
Well, not during that one, but once they did start shooting at me, I changed my jogging route. We had a local sniper that luckily it was not a very good shot, and he missed me a few times. So I changed my jogging route to, quite literally run about 100 times in a small circle under a tree. That was bad. Yeah.
It's either that or learn how to jog a lot faster. You know what I mean? So next one is you with, once again, with some Iraqi soldiers. And what's interesting about this is you're the guy in the flip-flops and the shorts. Like, is this like the typical American guy who comes in and with flip-flops and shorts and send these guys out, and you're just hanging out?
That was a patrol that was just about to go out, Iraqi patrol that was just to go out to raid a few houses to look for some terrorists. And I wasn't expected to be there. They woke me up and asked for some advice on that moment. So I ran out of my room with that clothes on.
All right. Okay, I got you. All right. And the next one is, the next one is just a photo. They brought back the guys on the right are with their heads covered are some guys that the team, your Iraq team brought back they brought them back to be interrogated. So potentially.
Well, pretty much every night there was prisoners to be interrogated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the next one is your interpreter. Hashim. And then the next one is a photo of, I think it's Hashim with his head covered talking to one of the prisoners, but it might be you. But I think it's Hashim.
No, that's not me. That's one of the Iraqi guards.
Okay. So interrogating someone. And then the next one are the three gentlemen with the two of them are holding signs in front of them. These are guys that you brought back.
Yeah, that was a terrorist cell that the Iraqis eventually, after about a week of interrogations, found and got enough information so that they could confirm that they were terrorists. And so they made them hold up signs that said El Harabi, which means I'm a terrorist.
Uh-huh. So the next one is you having the conversation with the one gentleman who I think was a school teacher. And
no, he was an engineering student at Mosul University that supported. Installed computer networks on the American base the first year of the war, and then after a while turned insurgent.
Mm-hmm. Turned against the Americans and the Iraqi government. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So your job. So the students read your story, right? And your job was really to stop the terrorism, just stop it, and try to bring people to justice and just stop the violence. So you see,
yeah, you have to. I was just one tiny. My job was to work with one Iraqi intelligence officer who his job was to try to stop the terrorists in just one small corner, probably half of Mosul. And so my job was purely to do my best to help him, while at the same time trying to deter him from torturing his prisoners.
Okay. So Jeff, we're not going to show those last photos. Let's start class. So the title of today's class is Here's What I See, right? And that's you. It's going to be you talking about here's what I see. Here's how I see the world. And so we have a couple students. We have Ben and Jose who are going to turn their cameras on and hop on. And anybody else who would like to, it'd be really nice, again, to have more people and people who can really articulate. Maybe we can take some questions from the stream also would be nice.
Great.
So go ahead. We are on, man. There you go, gentlemen. Jose, Ben, what's up?
How's it going?
Dude, it's going well. You guys meet Bill.
How's it going? I just wanted to say, Bill, thank you for your service. I know it's not Veterans Day anymore, but I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jose. I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
And you are retiring very soon.
Yes. Well, I have about 3 months left.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Just a few months.
That's the only way I could be sporting this right here.
And you're in Germany right now.
Yes, I'm in Germany.
Yeah. Okay, so gentlemen, this guy Bill is saying, dude, at any cost, you do not vote for Trump, right? Ask him a question. Ben, we'll start with you, my friend. What question do you have for this guy?
Is that Ben? If it's Ben, hey Ben, nice to. Hopefully, can't really see you, but hey, ask me anything. You know.
Can I ask you maybe what are your views on abortion?
On abortion?
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally don't think it's right to kill an unborn child, but I also feel people have the right to not have a child. Yeah, and so yes. I mean, personally, I would prefer, adoption. I mean, I have two beautiful girls right here upstairs, asleep in their rooms. Yeah, so that's my position.
Could I ask you just a quick question?
Yeah.
So I personally did not vote for Trump. I did not vote for Biden. I didn't even vote for Joe Jorgensen, who was a libertarian candidate, even though I've come on the stream before and said that I was like a libertarian. So could I just ask you, for what reasons did you decide to not vote for either candidate or even for third party? Like what really kind of threw you out from voting along the parties?
Oh, you mean, no, I did vote.
Oh, you did vote?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of I think, even though you might not always have the best people to vote for, I still think it's an absolutely important right. And I've been so many places in the world where they don't have that right, and people are, I mean, it's often said here, defend your right to vote, and I often say, yeah, I have been, but no, I've seen people really defending the right to vote and dying for that right around the world. So yes, I did vote.
Okay. So then, just a quick follow-up. What were main issues that you decided to vote for whoever you decided to vote for? So what really drew you in either not liking the other candidate or liking in the candidate you did decide to vote for?
I mean, since this is right now a two-party country, you have two choices primarily. Of course, there's other choices, but primarily two choices. And usually, for me, it comes down to their positions on certain issues, like the Ben asked about position on abortion, and social positions and finance and policies and stuff like that, and defense. But I also think that there are times when we have to. There are other values and other ideals beyond party. There's American ideals, and I also think even higher is there are human and life ideals. And I've been fighting for my life, having leaders impound characteristics of selfless service, trustworthiness, loyalty, honor, respect, duty, responsibility. And there comes a time when you have to decide that there are so many more higher ideals than to vote solely for a party. And this was one of those times.
So yeah. What about, so Jose, ask a follow-up, are you curious about what those ideals are?
Well, I've never been in the military. The last person to be in the military in my family was my grandfather, who fought in the Korean War. So I don't know a lot about the military, but I'm pretty sure that people in the military tend to be slightly lean conservative, and we usually hear about the conservative kid getting ostracized from their friend group because they decided to come as conservative. But being in a mostly conservative group, I would say, were you was there any negative effects for not voting in the same direction that typically your peers would? You're muted, by the way.
Muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I just for one, I mean, this is very unusual for me to discuss it. We don't talk about. We all feel an important right to vote, but we don't talk about who we voted for and why. But that goes in this case too. But when Sam asked me, to talk with you, there comes a time where you just have to stand up for what you think is right, and you have to, balance your different responsibilities in life. And I think this is one of those times. So no, we don't talk about who we vote for. And it breaks my heart to say this, but and it breaks my heart to have seen it over the last 4 years around the world. I've been, probably about 20 countries in the last 4 years, and it kills me to say this, but my leader is not truthful. He's not kind. He's not honorable, loyal, or trustworthy. He's not sincere or tolerant. He's not respectful of anyone that I've seen other than himself. And he's demonstrated that he does not value core democratic values, ideals. So those values and ideals that so many other Americans have in the past fought for and have died for. And so this is one of those times where I think it's important to stand your ground and say what you believe.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in. Hey, so really fast, I think we have two more people who can, Jeff, you can bring them in really quickly, and then I'm gonna ask a question of you, Ben, as soon as Jeff gets them in. And my question, Ben, to you is gonna be, so Bill just said a mouthful, right? About all sorts of things. And here's this guy you voted for, right? Like, I got to think, if I'm you, I'm thinking, damn, tell me what you're seeing. Because you're a really nice guy. Look at your smile. Like, you have this great smile, like such a nice, clearly you're a really nice guy. So you're not going to support some jerk, right? So what are you seeing? Or or what question do you have to get more out of Bill? Because he just gave you some very generalities, but what do you have to get more out of him, or whatever? Jump in.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about sincerity, because I think one thing that a lot of Trump supporters, I think, agree upon, and even I think some non-Trump supporters, is that Trump speaks his mind and he says whatever he's feeling. So it seems like that would be part of that. Is that what you meant by sincere, or are you talking about something else?
Well, I don't think speaking your mind is synonymous with sincerity. I think in my case, it more has to do with, how you act in the world is a reflection of your inner life and what you believe. And it should be, a reflection of a person who truly is, I think, compassionate, kind-hearted, and tolerant, and respectful. And yes, you can be in the military and have all those ideals and values, and still also say that there are times that it is always wrong to kill, but it is sometimes necessary, and you can still be a good person for having done that. And I don't know where I was going on that one, but yes, I don't know how to answer your question, Ben.
So Ben, do you have a follow-up to that?
So essentially what you're saying is that you don't like Trump's character at all. I'm getting the impression, and you place more value on his character as a person and the way he comes off compared to the policies that he's planning on that he says that he's going to enact or that he has enacted? Or do you think, is it
Yeah.
that you think his character will not allow him to enact policies?
I think there comes a time when you do need to vote character. And I understand everyone in most people in the country vote for policies. Vote. Okay, does the person represent a party that is pro-life? Is the person representative of a party that you name it, whatever it is? And I think there comes a time where you need to, that there are characteristics of an individual that you need to say that don't trump, that do trump those individual positions. And pun not intended in that case. And in this case was one of them. Yes, I think in this case, in my estimate, is that the individual character is so flawed that it doesn't matter, his positions.
So, Bill, what do you see, though? Let me ask you this question. From your vantage point, from where you are and the work that you do, because, you've been fighting the enemies of the United States for 30 years. And you know what I mean? And not just like deployed and ride around in a truck. I think you are on you're not even on the front lines, bro. You are like behind the scenes, like some really serious shit. When you say character, it means something really different. It means something unique. It means something like, what are you seeing that we're not seeing? That we should be thinking about as a nation, like what?
I mean, this last 4 years, I've been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 14, 15 different countries, and my job depends. My job is to defend the United States and act as the ambassador to the United States wherever I'm at. Because no matter what happens, wherever I am, most of the time it's in a small country, very few people that are all very poor, and I am the representative of the United States of America, even though I'm just a soldier. And across the board, I'm embarrassed about how we represent ourselves to the world this last 4 years.
So how about somebody else, Simney or Michael? Do you have a question for him about what you?
Yeah, I was about to say, do you mind if I hop in with a question?
Yeah, go ahead. What question would you have for?
I just had like a couple of series of like one main question, like a couple of follow-up questions, if that's no problem.
Yeah, ask your main one first.
All right. So from what you've kind of explained, it seems like one of the main reasons that you decided to switch from party lines was because of that whole idea of a sense of character and a sense of integrity. Were there, outside of that, were there any other like indications that you've seen that kind of made you decide that this was the time that you wanted to vote outside of party lines, or was that just the only and main one?
Well, I mean, truthfulness is probably a huge one for me. Regardless of what your position is, are you a truthful and honest person? And probably, I think as important is core democratic values. Rule of law, justice. Freedom of the press, checks and balances within a three system government, courts, Congress, and the executive branch. And I've seen just a callous disregard for those values that should transcend any party.
So, Bill, I'm going to do a quick follow-up here. Quickly, but somebody would come along and say, but all politicians lie. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like Biden is gonna.
Yeah, to end like kind of like a follow up to that is like one of the things that you're kind of saying right now is that how character is very important, and like to some degree, like the action doesn't necessarily matter, because at the end of the day, as the president of the United States, you're putting like a very as a major power in the world, you're putting a very large imprint on the other world just by how you're representing yourself, let alone the actions that you're setting in place for the American people. But kind of on the other spectrum of that, would you rather somebody who sets that proper representation of what the United States should be, but is actively making decisions that don't necessarily align with the best interests of the U.S. people, just kind of as an alternative?
Well, you can't have one or the other. I mean, you have to, you have to try to make your decisions upon the totality of the situation, and try to balance. And before you said, yes, all politicians lie, but I think we all know there is a tremendous continuum of where one can fall, and the intentions behind those lies. And it is my perception that primarily the lying is not, in a concern for the well-being of a country, or other people.
Okay, hey, Bill, can you see everybody, by the way? Do you have Zoom on gallery view? No, wait, we can't hear you. Yeah, you're muted again.
No, I only see the person who's talking, not everyone.
Oh, you can go up to view, upper right-hand corner, click on view, and put gallery.
You're talking to a Luddite, a 50-year-old plus 2 days.
Dude,
all right.
Bill just turned 50 2 days ago. Had his first colonoscopy this morning, by the way, class. So
thanks for sharing that with the world.
Yeah. So you got it. You see everybody now?
No, I don't see everyone. In the upper right corner of my screen is not anything that allows me to have multiple views.
Huh. All right. Maybe Jeff can hook you up on that.
Oh, because I had to do this in the browser and not through the app.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, listen. Who else? Who else has got a question? Michael or Grant? Yeah, Michael, go ahead.
Quick. So you were placing a lot of kind of value on character and truthfulness with who you picked as your candidate, but like a lot of people would call out to the fact like there's some things like, especially with, I'm thinking mainly of the not electoral college, like the Supreme Court. Biden said that the American people don't need to know his like plans for it. Like he flat out basically told us that we don't need to know what he's doing. And like, I feel like personally that kind of, I don't say dishonestness, because like he's not being dishonest, he's just refusing to tell us the truth, is more alarming in a way than someone who might be wrong in their statements, but like they're sticking to the same plan.
Yeah. I agree with you. And of course, everything that a person that you vote for is not, person you vote for is not going to do everything right, and it's not going to be a perfect person, because no one is. Heaven forbid any politician be a perfect person, but I think you can have better and worse. And when you have the right to vote, I think you should choose for a better person. And I'm just telling you how I feel. Back when I was your age, I was, voting for Bush Senior, H.W. Bush, actually. So, and before that, Ronald Reagan. And I chose them over Clinton, the husband, and etc. So,
Hey, Bill, I have a question from the stream. What do you think about Trump disrespecting John McCain?
I mean, that's just one of the many many examples. I think of.
People don't know what he said though. Do you remember exactly what he said?
It had to do with, heroes don't get captured or are prisoners.
So John McCain,
like
just so you know, John McCain was so people know, was the son of an admiral in the Vietnam War, and John McCain was a pilot in the Navy, and he got shot down over Vietnam. And once the North Vietnamese found out who he was, they kept him there. He was going to be imprisoned, and he was imprisoned for 5 or 6 years, a long time, and was brutally tortured, and made it out. And but this is it. This guy, but then never spoke, never gave up any information. None of the people around him gave up any information. It was truly heroic, what we would call heroic, right, Bill? I mean, that's just like, it can't be any more so than that. And then when he had lifelong physical ailments because of this, but this is a hero in every sense of the word in which we would say somebody is a hero. Maybe one person might not, but this is what a hero is. And so what Trump, when criticized him and said, my version of a hero is someone who would not get captured. John McCain is no hero to me. A soldier who doesn't get captured would be a hero. And that's just like, so that's what he said. So now your response as a military person.
That's just one of many examples that have led to my current me talking to you guys, and that's just one of many. Not only the John McCain, but many other veterans and many other people. And it doesn't matter that they are in the military or not. It's that there is a callous disregard for another person if that other person disagrees with him.
And you don't see that. So I know in the military, there is a code of conduct that is followed, right? I mean, like, people don't really understand this, but there is a code of conduct that's pretty.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Grant, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Bill, nice to meet you. I did watch you on the stream, but I never got to formally meet you. I just had a quick question, especially from your view, your perspective as a military man. What are your thoughts on Trump's past 4 years in terms of foreign policy? Would you say that he's been relatively peaceful, internationally speaking? Yeah,
he has. Yeah. I mean, if I was going to try to find the one of the positive things, yes, it's that for the last 4 years we haven't increased but have decreased our instances of fighting. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's one stat that many people don't like to point out that isn't necessarily discussed about Trump, is that in terms of a share of our GDP, military spending has decreased along with the number of troops abroad too. So I thought that was an interesting thing to point out, especially to the stream too.
Yeah, and that's a true fact. But yeah, I it's surprising, being special forces for such a long time. Or it's not surprising. You should know this. Most people in are that fight wars are not warmongers. So that is a good thing, but I also believe that there are times that you need to stand up for those who are less fortunate around the world, and sometimes that requires force. Yeah.
So could I ask you a quick question?
Thank
you.
Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
So you talk about like integrity of an individual. You care about the leader of the United States to have a lot of good characteristics and being of good character. So I just want to know what you prioritize. Would you rather have like a president who is like not an incredible character but decent policies versus a person who has very good qualities and is very presentable but their policies are not as good?
Well, you said good qualities and presentable. Presentable is I don't think one of those character qualities. And it's not one or the other. I don't think. I still believe in the rule of law. I believe in human rights. I believe that our nation was founded on inclusivity, meaning that those who are different from us make us a better country by allowing them to become part of the American fabric. I believe in freedom, not only freedom of choice, but freedom from tyranny. I believe in justice, equality, opportunity, selflessness, but those are just individual characteristics. I also believe in core democratic values.
So, Bill, can you say more about, since this class is a class on race and ethnic and cultural relations in the U.S. and around the world, can you say a little bit more about that from your perspective when you think about the United States? I mean, because you're putting your life on the line to defend the country, and so when you talk about difference, support the importance of difference, and
to me, the country is not a thing. It's you can't it's a process. It's which includes values, not many of which are intent. You can't touch and point to. But yeah, I all around the world. It seems like a trope or a cliche or something. But yes, it is a beacon of these core democratic values, especially for places in the country that are, filled with corruption. I mean, rampant corruption, rampant extraction of natural resources solely for the profit of the core leaders, and not for the people. And so many of these people do look to America for an example, not only in what a good country should be run like, but what the individuals who run the country should be like as well.
Last class we talked about the Great War of Africa, the Second Congo War, and so we talked about the extraction of minerals in the DRC, and that's where you're working right now in that area, right? To really root out.
I was in the Central African Republic, South Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, not Congo, and Uganda. I was the deputy commander of our hunt for Joseph Kony. It might be before most of your students' time, but anyway, but it's not just there. It's all across Africa. Most of my time has been in West Africa, across the Sahel. Where it is a few very rich people, and most of the country is despondently poor. And almost all of that is because of natural resources, and what few they do have. If they went to the people, most of these places could be very prosperous middle income countries, but it doesn't.
So somebody else who I know we have a couple questions from the stream that I don't know, Jeff, if you want to put one of those up, and then maybe we can go back to Ben or Simney.
I was saying, can I ask a question really quickly?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Kind of a follow-up to the foreign policy question. I was going to ask, how do you feel about Trump's developing relationship with Kim Jong-un during his presidency? And do you feel like strengthening our relationship with North Korea indirectly supports the mistreatment of its people?
Oh, wow.
You can give yourself 30 seconds on that, because that would be a 30-minute question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first, I probably want to caveat, I am a counterterrorism and counterinsurgency expert, and primarily Africa and the Middle East. So I know very little about Asia, but what I do know is that Kim Jong-il is just representative of many similar dictators around the world. And I don't think it's a surprise that many dictators like Trump, and Trump likes many dictators. Yeah. So yes, I think how we treat a country's leader does have impacts on its people.
Hey, so we're going to put a question up from the stream, but everybody else, I want you to just think about what Bill just said, that many dictators around the world really, really like Trump, and Trump likes many dictators. That's big. That's just so big, man. Like, that's okay. So what do you have? My parents and grandparents, veterans, voted for Trump because they believe the Democratic Party is against the military. What's your thought on that? You mean you were 8 years, you were in the military under 8 years of Clinton?
The military, yeah, I mean, I don't think one party is more or less against the military. The military is literally a slice of America, and representative of America, just in a microcosm. And there are lots of Democrats as well as lots of Republicans. Probably, honestly, yes, much more Republicans and Democrats than Democrats. But no, I've been in for 30 years, and I've been under both Democrats and Republicans, and I don't think it's fair to say, you can't really stereotype. Probably the person who used special operations the most was Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton at the State Department, and the person who my opinion is least supportive of the military is a Republican in office now. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have another one from the stream? And then okay, Bill, have you ever voted with your wallet? Certain presidents want to pay more to soldiers than others and give them more benefits.
Yeah, that's true, but it's such a small amount that a president can do. You got to remember, Congress is the people that hold the pocketbook, not the president, unless it comes to foreign policy. So nothing benefits the military unless it comes from fiscally from Congress. But even if I did, that would be my much lower priorities, because it's such a small amount. I mean,
yeah. We're talking an extra $10 a week in your paycheck. We're not.
Yeah.
Although I should add that, it is pretty clear that.
If we are talking large sums like the budget, it sure doesn't go into my pocket or any other soldier, Marine airman's pocket. It probably goes into the defense industry's pocket primarily.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have a question? If not, we're going to go. Okay. Let me do one more from the stream, and then all right, go ahead, man. How do you feel about Trump's nationalism? Just like America first, and all that entails.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably as much as anyone. Probably a lot less the last few years, but I am very proud to be an American, and I think we should be proud to be American. I don't think that translates into nationalism. And I honestly think the more nationalistic or America first you project around the world, the less benefit your country gets because of that projection. The more you respect other countries as equal partners in the world, the more benefit, the more national security you get.
Yeah. Hey, I
kind of disagree with that. Well, not disagree. I just find it interesting because, like I said, I didn't vote for Trump, but like if you are being voted as a president of a country or the prime minister of a country, you're supposed to put the needs of that country first. So I wouldn't expect like Boris Johnson from England to like care what Americans think, or I wouldn't care what like Angela Merkel from Germany would care about. I think like I personally don't even like Angela Merkel, but she has to put Germany first before other countries. And yeah, like you have to be respectful for the international community, but like you got to put the people who voted you in first, I would say.
Of course, I have never suggested or said that we should, that a leader should put other countries before their own country. That's not what I said at all.
So what you're saying, Bill, what you're saying, the idea is that it's nationalism in the sense. There's nationalism with a small n, which is you put your country you first look out for the needs of your country and you sort of make your decisions according to that. Nationalism with the big N is that your country is the most important country in the world, and it's just okay to walk on every other country, or it's good to do that because that's just what you have to do, as opposed to saying, look, we're all in this together. And we need to really see ourselves as partners in the world with all these different countries and all these governments. And we're going to have to work with all of them. And yet I'm the leader of this country, so I got to move forward with my own, with the needs that we have. But sometimes the needs of other country will be as important as our own needs, and as in like climate change or NATO or something like that. So Bill, I think you would.
Yes, I would agree with that. We in Africa, go across Africa, almost, probably 24 countries, special operations are in Africa, in small numbers. And yes, we personally, we know and we believe our country is number one. But that doesn't translate into us ever interacting with another country or another people of another country as if they are less important or somehow below us. And that's the one way that if you do that, to make sure that our best interests, our nation's best interests, are not looked out for.
When it's important to look out for them. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So Jose, I think your point's really good. And I think this is one of those things, when we have these conversations, there's the subtlety of words and what words really mean and like what we really mean and why it's so important to have ongoing conversations to really parse it. Because as someone who is also a globalist like you and has had opportunities to engage leadership in countries around the world in different ways than you, but leadership, I see that we're all in this. We really, when you come together with your partner countries, it's the needs of both that have to come forward. So Michael, I think did you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna kind of briefly build on what Jose said. What would you, I guess, just tell someone like who believes that having like a military presence in Africa and in the Middle East is just like another form of kind of playing politics? Like, as someone who's involved in that, who has been there, is that really necessary in your opinion, or is it just like a giant political boost?
Or just U.S. imperialism, right?
Or yeah, continue with imperialism.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what the military is doing to really ask you that question. What I do know is that there are several countries in the world, like China, like Russia, who see Africa as a immense opportunity for them to extract resources to fuel their economies, and so they are doing all that they can to do so at the expense of the African people. And I would say that where there is no U.S. presence, we have made a decision to allow and stand back and to allow those countries to go in and I think harm Africans.
Like, why should the U.S. have to play the world's policeman? Why can't that be the UN or?
It's not about a policeman. We're not talking about an interest, a diplomatic interest, a diplomatic presence. And most of these countries where resources are being extracted in Africa have instability problems, meaning there is a large lack of governance, as well as large amounts of criminality, as well as insurgency and terrorists who threaten that government. So if we can assist that government in countering terrorism, we are bolstering that government to resist the pressures of say, China and Africa. If you can go into a small little country in Africa and go to their national airport, and that will be the one massive, beautiful, or conference hall. Billions of dollars put into a conference hall in the desert. Why do you think that's been done? And it's been done because it's China, or primarily China as a way to get resource rights.
It used to be the United States.
Yeah, it used to be.
And it still is. And there are other places, and so there are other places in the world where the U.S. is engaging in such nefarious activities. So that's not. So this, it goes all around. But I think at the same time, these things are incredibly complicated. And so what Bill is saying is, look, it's not all just. So those of you who are on the left and have really embraced this kind of U.S. foreign policy as imperialism. There are lots of examples on the ground where it's not just U.S. foreign policy as imperialism. It's U.S. foreign policy as an attempt to democratize, meaning bring more power and resources to people at the lower ends of the socioeconomic ladder. And that's the thing that talking to people like you, Bill, I really have a much better appreciation for, understanding for, than the simplistic arguments that we make. Hey, Ben, did you have another question? Did you have like I do have
a question actually. I don't know. I don't want this to come off as mean or rude, so sorry in advance if it does. But like obviously you're well aware that the president is appointing judges and cabinet and sometimes even Supreme Court members and such. I'd just be curious to see how would you respond to conservatives or Trump supporters who would call you maybe short-sighted or say you're not thinking about the future, or all the people that will be appointed who will then be in office for longer periods of time, because one president appoints people who have influence for a long period of time. So how would you respond if someone said that you were short-sighted? I guess I don't want to say that mean, but
dude, awesome, man. No, that's very cool. That's an awesome question. Bill, do it in 1 minute if you can.
Well, I would say I'm not a one, I guess, platform voter. I think Trump has nominated several good people for high positions of power, and I think that's a good thing. But I'm not willing to compromise all the things that I've already talked about ad nauseum, primarily democratic core values, to get that. And I think that's the problem is that so many people in the country are willing to compromise their individual integrity because they see their individual interests advanced by Trump, whether that be a Supreme Court or pro-life, or I just think overall, in sum, the harm to our democracy far outweighs the benefits of things like you're talking about.
I would also add, if I could, that he's also appointed some really, really dumb and unqualified people. And for everyone who's really awesome, there's someone who's really just a sham of an appointment. And so, you got to also balance those things out. And it's not like Biden's going to get in and appoint all these people who are complete knuckleheads. Obama didn't do that. Bush didn't do that. It's like people are here. Like, come on. Okay. Anyway, we could just a really fast question from the stream if we could, and then we're going to have to. How does the rest of the world see the U.S. and has it changed in your opinion over the past 4 years, let's say, or over the years? Let's just go over the years, particular over the last 4 years, and you have 2 minutes to answer this question, my friend.
Yeah, the perspective of America has changed all over the world, and whether you like it or not, it is a global community, and we are not self-contained. We're not separate, and we're not an isolated nation. And our interests intrinsically depend on our interactions around the world. And it's hard to see that when you are in a obscure professor that no one likes in central Pennsylvania. But yeah, around the world, it is almost a unanimous, except for a few dictators and a small percentage, a very small percentage. Overall, people are scared of what is happening, in their opinion, to the country that they've always respected and looked up to. I've had to live with it for 4 years of always answering the questions. Like somehow I am the ambassador somehow suddenly. But
that's just because you're the most handsome American that they encounter. So
often the only American.
Well, I will say in particular what I've experienced working with military people in the past years is that it's also very true with our military allies. They're very afraid of like some things that have happened here. Hey, Bill, thanks for jumping on. And class, really my intention is just to get, you have this opportunity to talk to this person who's, you would never get a chance to speak with or hear from. And I just think it's really important to really complicate and to build some gray into how we see things. And it just has value because it's about thinking and complicating our thinking. And the more complicated it is, the better. And Bill, I think you would, if you could just bring Bill back on for just one hot second. I think
thank all the people who did speak up. Hey, I really respect you guys. I'm sure it's tough in that liberal bastion of Penn State. So I respect you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it is liberal. Hey, listen, thanks, my friend. Get some sleep, and we will be in touch. And I really appreciate you coming on, staying up, and talking. So
right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so class, we will, Lily, I'm going to talk to Lily in a hot minute, and we'll get our quiz up as quickly as possible, and we'll make things happen. Y'all, all men, it doesn't escape my notice that it's all men who came on today. So, which is just, it's got its own little thing there. But We have a couple cool classes next week before the break, and I'm really looking forward to them. Thank you all for jumping on. I really appreciate it. And thanks for your questions. And we will talk. All right. Okay, ciao.